Now, after last episode about the whole RTruth debacle, I felt like it was imperative that we discuss Triple H on this episode. I'm just gonna jump right into it. We're not even gonna sugarcoat with this shit. We're gonna get right into it. Triple H is in a position of power because he's in the family of the McMahons. He's married to Vince McMahon's daughter, and being married to Stephanie McMahon has helped Triple H assume his role in power. It's just that simple. And somehow along the way, we've given Triple H way too much credit. We really have. And maybe Vince McMahon is the blame for that, because Vince McMahon dropped the ball a lot of times before he ultimately stepped away from the company. So you could almost say that Vince McMahon is at fault. People have been sparing Triple H's feelings, because if we just be honest, what has Triple H done to say that he's fit to run WWE, or at least the creative of WWE? Like, I'm really asking, because I'll be fair, the only way I know how to be. When Triple H was in charge of NXT, the black and gold brand, that was some of the best wrestling that was going on in any promotion. It didn't matter what company it was. In my opinion, the black and gold NXT was far and beyond every other thing that was going on in wrestling. And supposedly Triple H was the guy in charge of NXT. He was the guy running the creative for the NXT brand. I say supposedly because now I get a little confused that he's actually running the main roster, because NXT was just on a different level. NXT was the best wrestling during that time, and it's hands down. It's not even close. It's so many classic matches that we all had the privilege of watching because of NXT. I almost feel like it's just an entirely different wrestling promotion onto itself. And maybe that's just my imagination that runs wild, but it felt like it was a wrestling promotion where the best wrestlers in the world finally had a place to meet, because every match delivered in that way. Whether it was one of my favorite wrestlers in Aleister Black, whether it was Kevin Owens, whether it was Shinsuke Nakamura, whether it was Sami Zayn, whether it was Sasha Banks or Bayley, Adam Cole, Keith Lee, Karrion Kross, and the list goes on. And all of these people have had multiple classic matches in NXT. And just the way that the matches were presented, it was nothing like what was happening on the main roster. This is why at that time, I gave Triple H all of the credit in the world. And I was excited for a day when he would run the creative for the main roster, because we weren't seeing wrestling like this anywhere else. And I think in hindsight, that's probably the last special time that we're gonna have in professional wrestling for a while. So much so that NXT has never been able to catch that magic. They've never been able to catch that lightning in the bottle again. It's not a knock to what the guys are doing at NXT now, but we're not about to sit here and bull. It's not the same thing. It was just a special time. And the black and gold NXT holds a special place in my heart as a professional wrestling fan. I wanted to throw out the good before I get to the bad and the ugly. And I gave a little glimpse of the ugly, reminding the world that you could almost say Triple H running WWE is almost nepotism. This is something he's been gifted through his family relationship. And I'm pretty sure every professional in that company would beg to differ. But I would ask them, just be real. Like, let's just really be real. When Triple H was a wrestler, was an active competitor, it took a miracle for Triple H to become a star. Like, we're not about to do this no more. We're not sugarcoating it no more, because like I said, I'm still salty about the RTruth thing. And this is part of the reason why I'm salty about that. Because if Triple H was a person that made the decision to try to play RTruth, who the hell does Triple H think he is? You could argue that RTruth became more successful than Triple H. You could argue that because RTruth isn't married into the family. RTruth had to get out here and really make something work from scratch. Not to mention that he's a black wrestler. And we talked about that all last week, so I'll leave that at that. So what we're not going to do is act like Triple H was so much of a better wrestler than a guy that he tried to play 2 weeks ago in RTruth. RTruth organically became a household name. It's in the best interest of the McMahon family to have a McMahon that's the main star. And you can't argue it any other type of way. It's already been proven. Why do you think Triple H has won all of the type of high profile matches that he's won at a WrestleMania? Like WrestleMania 31, when he had a match against Sting, and for some odd reason, Triple H won that match against Sting. Just that match alone kind of sums up everything I'm saying right now. Because for one, why did Sting need to wrestle Triple H? This is what I mean by the delusion right now. Vince McMahon is a great businessman, and he's done a great job at making us feel as though Triple H is a superstar. And Vince McMahon putting Triple H against Sting is the proof of that. Triple H is not the guy that we needed to see go against Sting at any WrestleMania. But it's in the best interest of the McMahon family to have a McMahon be at the top of the roster. Now you are able to insert Triple H in all of these high profile matches year after year at WrestleMania, because this was built through the family dynamic. Just like you had Triple H versus The Undertaker 2 years in a row. And in the WWE's mind, Triple H was this big superstar. But for Vince McMahon, it's because this is his son-in-law. And who better to have in these big matches on the biggest stages other than my own family, if you're Vince McMahon. And I'm not mad at any of it. But we not about to keep sitting here and acting like this doesn't exist. Hunter Hearst Helmsley was not a great character. Triple H made it work. Because again, we professional and fair over here. Triple H made it work because he looks like a snob and that's what the character that Hunter Hearst Helmsley was. So he fit the role of it perfectly. But the actual wrestling and in the ring and the storylines with that character, nobody gave a damn. Nobody cared. Shawn Michaels was the hottest thing going on in professional wrestling around the time that Triple H joined forces. It's not like you just put Triple H in any group and then all of a sudden Triple H became a star. You put him with the guy who even to this day is considered one of the best legends in WWE history. This is the thing you do for family. You take care of family. Vince McMahon wasn't going to bury Triple H while he's married to his daughter. He's going to do exactly what he did. And that's make Triple H a 13-time world heavyweight champion. I mean, just think about that. A 13-time world heavyweight champion. Like, come on, y'all. Like, because if y'all don't want to be real, then we'll just cut all this shit there. Because it's late. It's almost midnight. I'll cut this shit off and just do something else. I got some other projects I could work on. We'll just leave it alone if we not going to be honest. Because I thought that's what we was here for. Yeah, this is triggered by the RTruth disrespect, but that's only because I've been trying to be fair and professional. I just wasn't going to focus on Triple H before. But in light of current events, I felt that this was absolutely necessary so that we could keep things in context. Because I feel like things continue to get lost in translation. CM Punk, shout out to Chicago. Every time I talk about CM Punk, I got to speak to my city. When CM Punk wasn't seeing eye to eye with the WWE, he told Triple H that at WrestleMania 30, he doesn't need to wrestle Triple H. Triple H needs to wrestle CM Punk. Because Vince McMahon and Triple H was trying to present this match to CM Punk as if Triple H was this big time superstar. And that would be the perfect match for CM Punk. But CM Punk just happens to be the best in the world. And he happens to be from Chicago. And if you haven't noticed by now, it's not a coincidence that we like to speak our mind in Chicago. CM Punk told no lies that day when he told Vince McMahon and Triple H that he didn't need to wrestle Triple H. See, now is water under the bridge because CM Punk is a professional. And as men, we can move on. I've gave Triple H a lot of benefit of the doubt because to be perfectly honest with you, to be perfectly honest with y'all, here at Worldwide Classic, once I began to see Triple H rise through the ranks and he was showing that he was going to be an authority figure in the WWE over time, I was concerned back then because I didn't think that Triple H would be fair to wrestlers. Again, I've been watching this for a long time. And even back then, when Triple H started his ascent to his rise of power in that company, I was uncomfortable with it then. Some people point to the feud that he had with Booker T and some of the things that he said to Booker T in one of the promos leading up to WrestleMania 19. Based off that promo, some people have said that Triple H has a racial undertone because of the things that were so easy to say directed towards Booker T. We talked about all of that last week. I just didn't have the time to name every single atrocity that black wrestlers have continued to go through. But how Triple H talked down to Booker T and it feeling so real and so disrespectful all of those years ago, that and the fact that you barely seen Triple H work with any other black wrestlers after the Booker T fiasco. I'm not here to say Triple H is racist. This is not about that. And even if he was, like I said last week, I come into this knowing that it's a possibility. Y'all seen the footage from last week. Y'all seen what JR and Bruce Pritchard told RTruth. I didn't write the lyrics. I'm just reciting the song. I could take race out of it. Just other wrestlers that Triple H felt like wasn't on his level in his time as an active wrestler. A guy like Tess comes to mind. And rest in peace to Tess. A wrestler that had a lot of promise and a lot of potential. But it seems like as soon as he had the storyline with Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, his career was just non-existent. It disappeared. Was Triple H a gray heel? Yes, because just like I said, when he was Hunter Hearst Helmsley, he fit that character because he was a snob and he was Those qualities don't change. He's still a snob and an asshole, even as the game. So yes, he was a great heel. Because I've seen other podcasts where guys like Jim Ross have said how good of a heel Triple H was at that time. Not only how good he was, but that Triple H was underrated as a heel. I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't feel like he was underrated. He just wasn't the star that the WWE kept trying to make him out to be. It don't matter what them people talking about or what anybody is talking about. Triple H was not Stone Cold. And he was not The Rock. Hell, he wasn't even The Undertaker. But he was a nice addition to the roster. You needed a villain. And Triple H played that role. I'm not going to take nothing away from Triple H and say that he didn't put in the work. Because that's one thing about Triple H that I always give him credit for. He's one of the most professional out of all the wrestlers. Even so much so that Kevin Nash even alluded to that on his podcast once upon a time. Triple H doesn't party, doesn't drink. He's not being reckless in his private life. Family man. Again, I'm professional and fair. I give Triple H all the credit in the world for carrying himself like a professional. So I'm not saying that he shouldn't be in an executive role in that company. But I think we all worked ourselves into believing that Triple H was the guy that could run creative effectively. So I guess the main point of all of this is I hope Triple H gets the hell off his high horse, remember where he came from, remember how he started, and how lucky he is to be in the position that he's in, and we start being a little bit more humble, a little bit more cautious, and a little bit more thoughtful when we're booking these matches, and we're pushing wrestlers. And we're negotiating contracts.